Installation of NAV 2013 allow you to set up instances using the same executable folder a lot easier than we did with 2009. Doing multiple folders has some problems doing it in a normal Windows 7 installation with no domain controller or anything like that one. So this is going to show how to actually do this one. Currently nothing is installed on this one. It's a Windows 7 blank install. The only thing is WinRAR. So I'm going to go in and install NAV inside this computer now, and I'm going to install the demo setup, and the demo setup will install SQL Server and all the components that is required in here. After the initial install, I have a working system. I have the Outlook component not registering properly, but that's because I don't have Outlook. So let's look at NAV in here. I have a 2013 version. And open up the client, and we'll connect to the service tier that is running on this computer now. Another thing that has been created is the administration shell, and that's where you can create new instances and things like that one. This one is not going to be about doing that one. It's about creating a whole new folder so you can test different versions and different builds of NAV in here. So let's go ahead and look at what was installed in here. So instead, let's go to the computer, program files. That's a NAV drive here, and I have my service installed under the 64-bit program. So the first thing to do is to copy this folder and then paste it again here. And it calls it service copy. I'm going to call it service 2 in here because that's what's assumes. The things I'm going to do, I'm going to change the custom setting in here. So I'm actually going to use different port numbers in here. So if I go in and set up or open up Notepad here, I have to run it as administrator because this one is a standard Windows 7 install with no changes to the security. So I'll go in and open up my custom config or custom settings here. So I have my database. I'm using the same database for this test in here, but then my server instance is going to be called something else. I'll call it server 2 in here, or service 2. Then my port numbers, I'm not going to use port sharing, so I'm actually just going to add 10 to each of the ports down here, and there's 4 of them in 2013. So, and then I'm going to save that file, and I can close it because I don't need it any longer in here. So I now created a new folder. I changed the settings I need. I now need to go add the new service, and in 2009 you would use the service creator. With 2013 the administration shell can be used, but again you have to run that as administrator, else you have issues with the security also if you don't do anything else than using the normal Windows 7 install. And I have created a script in here, and if we take first, I will just copy this one in here, and then I paste it in here. So it uses a new service. It gives it a name, service 2. It has a binary path of my new folder. It has a name for it. It has a config file where it finds that one in the service 2 folder. It depends on HTTP, and the way that this one was determined was if I open up the services, I'll go take a look at the one that is already installed. And if under dependency, I can see it depends on HTTP, so I'm just going to map it the same way for that one. So I have a description it was copied from the other one, and then I have a display name in here where it calls service 2, and then I will set it for startup type manually in here. And then I hit enter in here, and it actually now adds a service. It's currently stopped in here. So if I actually go back here and now hit refresh, I'll see my new service 2 in here. If I try to start that one, it went ahead and started it fine, but I'm actually right now running as the local system in here. So if I now go and connect my NAV client, it will give an error that it can't establish a connection to the SQL server. So let's then go try change the service to run as network service instead, because that's how the other service is running out here. So I'll go into properties again. I'll use network service instead as count. If I now try start the service, it will give me an error and it can't start in here. So if I look at the event viewer, I'll see a couple of things in here. I get a warning that I don't have a server principal name for that port number I selected, and then finally it will actually close the service and it fails to start because it can't connect with that. So the way to get past this one is to create a local user that is going to run as a service in here. So since I'm running without a domain in here, I'm going to use computer management and look at my local users, and I'm going to create a new user. It's going to be called NAV service. I'll give it a password down here. You cannot have a service account without a password. It will not allow you to log in, or it won't start the service properly if there is no password. Remember to check the password never expires, because else it works for a time period and then suddenly nothing works anymore. So I have my new user, and I'll go in here and make that member user of administrators. This one of course is a setup that is intended for development and only for local use in here. You would normally not add a user that would be part of administrators. There's documents how to do this with less permissions in here. So if I now go in and change my service, instead of logging on as network service, I'm going to do my NAV service. I'm going to type in the password, and don't use the browse when you're not in a domain environment, because it don't really give you a lot. You just have to wait many times. So if I click OK, the account has been granted login access. Again, if I now start this one, the service is starting fine. If I try to connect to it, I'll have the same problem as local system, because this service will have no access to the database, of course. So to solve that one, I will have to go ahead and add the user inside SQL. And to do that one, I will need to go install SQL Server Management Studio, and I have the Express version of that in here, so I'm just going to install that one. And this one seems like there's really no option when you get through with it, but it takes a lot of questions before you finally is allowed to actually run the install of the SQL Server Management Studio. You have to go through 20 screens or so at least to get them. It also seems like it. Oh, there it was. So I do a new SQL Server install. So this one has actual selection, everything is default in here. So the install of SQL Server Management Studio Express finished, so I can close this one. I now have my SQL Server Management Studio down here, and I can go add my new user in here. So I connect to my SQL database. I'll first under logins, I'll go add my new user. And it's called NAV service. I'll just put this user as a sysadmin so they can do anything in here. Again, it's only set up for testing in here. If I go look at my databases, I have my demo database in here. I'm going to look at the users, and I'm going to add my new user in here. It's a Windows user, and I will go find the user again. It's called NAV service. I want to give it the same name in this database. And I'll make it a security admin and DB owner so they have all access in here. So if I now go restart my service, so the service now restarted, and if I now go select my server and change to my new service 2, I see my company and I can now connect and everything working fine. So I'm now ready to set up a test environment by applying another build number in there. So to do that one, I first want to create a new copy of this database because I don't want to destroy this database. So I'm going to back up this database. So getting a backup of that database, and then I'm going to restore it to a new database. So and I'm going to select the file, I have my database backup here. And I'm going to call it service 2. I'm just going to call everything here service 2. I'm going to override existing, it's a brand new one, so it's not going to do any difference in here. And then click OK down here. Oh. put the check mark in, so I want to do that. Take my files, so relocating them in here, original. And I'm just going to so it's restoring my backup. I needed to change the names. Finished. I have my service 2 down here. So let's go change my database in my server config. So I need Notepad again. Again, I need to run it as administrator. And open up the custom settings file, and instead of using this database, I'm going to use the one here called service 2 that I just created in here. So we're going to save that file. Restart my service. Of course, my client will close because now the service is shutting down. Service restarted, and when I now connect using this one, and if I go here just to ensure, I can use development environment because it's easier to see that way. So if I go open up the database, I have my 2 databases. So if I select server 2 here, I can go in and rename my company. So it's now modifying all the tables in SQL to match my new company name. And if I go reopen, when it's done, when I reselect the server, I'll be able to see that all the file has been renamed. When these things happen, when the progress bar disappears, is by the way in the back of all our windows. So if every window is closed, the progress bar is getting ahead of everything here. So my company name has now been renamed. So if I select my server again here, I'll see that my name of the database is changed, but then it has to reconnect because it got messed up here. So I now have everything connected. So to update to the next build number, I need to do a few things in here. First, I want to go in my service tier in here. I need to put the new files in here. And to be able to do that, I need to stop the service. The new files has been downloaded, and this one is build 34664. So I'll go here and extract these files. There's many folders in here. There's one that is for the RTC, there's one for the service tier, and I need to put those files in there. For the service tier, I need to go select all the files, copy them, and then paste them in the folder. But before I can do that one, I need to stop the service. So if I do it before stopping the service, I'll get a problem that the files can't be replaced because they're currently in use actually. So let's go here and try paste them and say I want to do this one for all of them. Copy and replace, and say yes. And I need to provide administrative permissions, and it's now replacing all the files in here, but some of them will actually fail because the service is running. So let's stop the service here before that happens. See in here it couldn't replace all of them, so it asked if I want to try again, and my service stopped. So when I try again, it actually works this time. So that one was my service tier. If I run that one now, I need to have a client that matches that one. So if I go back to Program Files 86 under Dynamics NAV, I have my Rotor client in here, and I'm going to take a copy of that one and paste it into this folder again. So I need a client that matches that one in here, and the same thing I did before, I'm just going to call it 2 out here so I know these 2 matches in here. So again, in the Rotor client folder, from my hotfix, I'm going to take the RTC files in here. And again, select all of them and paste them in here. And I want to do this for all of them, and I want to do it for all folders. And then I want to say it's okay, and it now replaced all those ones. So I now have a new Rotor client and development environment, by the way, because I have a thin SQL in here. This one I want to create a shortcut, and this one is this one was build 34664, and I also want to find my Rotor client. So I have my classic client and the other one, and the first thing to do is update all the objects. So I need to run this one, select all objects, and compile. So I built the new matching code in here. And before I do that one, I'll just go ahead and take a look and see that I'm actually running the right build number in here. So this one is 34664. And if I run the one from the menu here, find the development environment, this one is 33,000, the other one was 34,000. So if I go in here, compile all objects, I'll build C# code that matching my current build number. And when that is done, I can start the service. And I have now upgraded to my latest build number and can test both with the original build and this one. The trick is really here to use the new PowerShell commands administration shell to add the new service, create a user, assign the user permission to SQL, and then make the service run as that one. After that one, you can update the files, and you can repeat this one as many times as you want to have different builds running on the same computer now. So this one is now running the RTC with the latest build number, matching the service tier and the development environment that was just installed on there.